Hey guys, Guy in here to talk to you about some basics of knife safety. So, when you're cutting something, general principle is you shouldn't be cutting towards yourself. So, blade should be facing away and you should be applying pressure, pushing out. So, say I needed to cut this and I was being dumb and I was trying to cut here. If I pay attention to where this knife's traveling, I'm going to hit my leg. A lot of people will do something like that where they're doing something ridiculous, or they're trying to cut through something that's really hard, or they have some cordage that's really hard and their knife might not be that sharp, and they kind of come in naturally to try and have more like body mechanics and more of a mechanical advantage to try and cut something, and they won't be paying attention, and they'll cut and they'll slice through something that they're not trying to slice through. So that could be your leg. If you're like sitting in a sitting position, you're trying to cut here, you could cut yourself, you'd hit your femoral artery, you could bleed out within a couple minutes if you didn't know how to take care of that. So rule of thumb is always be cutting away from your body the best you can. Now another way to potentially keep yourself from getting hurt is be mindful of where you're putting your hand when you grab your knife. So a lot of times I'm going to be posturing a finger up here. I might do that if I'm trying to get more fine detail stuff. I might just hold it down here. But something dangerous with this knife design is it doesn't have anything preventing my hand from sliding forward other than this small little design in the blade. Now, if I stab something really hard, so say I stabbed a tree or stabbed a plate, and I didn't have a really good grip on here, or if my hand was wet or bloody or whatever have you, it could slide through my hand and I could cut all my fingers on the inside of my hand or whatever. Now, getting cut sucks in the first place, but what's even worse with that is all of the mobility in your hand, all of the contraction, all of the movement is going to happen with your fingers. All of the ligaments and tendons run on the inside of your hand. So if you damage that, you're essentially going to be taking your hand completely out of use. Now, if you get a cut on the outside or right here, lower on your hand, it's not as big of a deal. It's going to hurt because that's muscle, but it's not going to affect the use of your hand as much. Now, that sucks. Now, in the event that you do use a reverse grip like this, and say you're cutting something, doing fine whittling, so say I was doing something like this, fine whittling, I'm still not facing it towards myself. I'm still making sure that if I cut, it's going out. I'm making sure that if anyone around me knows that I'm cutting, I'm not going to slip, I'm not going to stab them, but I'm going to be mindful of what I'm doing. Maybe I need some really, really fine whittling control right here to do something. Maybe I'm making like a fire stick or something. Be mindful of what you're doing. Make sure that you're not facing yourself. Maybe you're not stabbing yourself in the face. Be careful. At the end of the day, you want to respect your tools. I've cut myself plenty of times. I was at a training course. We were doing some survival stuff, and I was grabbing walnuts off the ground, and I had my knife in my hand like this, blade facing me. I was grabbing walnuts, putting them in, cracking them with the blade of my knife, eating them. And I was reaching down to grab one of these nuts, and I was like, sweet, a nut I haven't eaten in a couple days. I'm so excited. I was reaching down, and I heard a hissing sound, and I knew that there was like water moccasins and stuff out there. And I was like, ooh, I really don't want to get bitten by a snake right now. First off, I don't like snakes in the first place, and second off, I don't want to get bitten by a super poisonous snake. So I was like, oh, and I pulled my hand back to my chest as hard as I could, just out of instinct to get it out of the way. But my hand was choked up on the blade enough that it sliced through my hand, and I cut like all the way to the bone right here. And I had a medical kit on me. I knew what I was doing. I knew how to take care of it. So it wasn't a terrible thing, but it could have been really, really bad if I didn't know what I was doing. So accidents do happen. Be mindful of what you're doing and respect the tool. Lastly, when you're putting your tool away, you don't have to be a cool guy and just like throw it in there. Watch what you're doing. There's been plenty of times where people have messed up and thought that they were going into their sheath, and they ended up stabbing themselves because knives are sharp. That happens sometimes. Don't do it. Like, no one cares how fast you can put your knife away. Just watch what you're doing, put it in the sheath correctly, and you're cool, sweet, and it's in my sheath correctly. Awesome. Thanks for staying safe. Continue to train. See you guys next time.